Okay, so conditions that are integral part of a disease process. And this is just kind of further going on about signs and symptoms. So signs and symptoms that are associated routinely with a disease process should not be assigned as additional codes unless otherwise instructed by the classification. So for instance, in a patient who comes in with a fever and pneumonia, the fever is integral to pneumonia, so only the pneumonia would be coded in the situation. And then guideline number 6, which is conditions that are not integral part of a disease process. So this is the opposite. So additional signs and symptoms that may not be associated routinely with a disease process should be coded when present. So for instance, a patient is admitted for hypertension, but they also have a fever that was not further classified in any other condition or wouldn't be routine in any other condition that was found or coded, then we could code the fever, which is R50.9, because it's not routinely associated with just hypertension. Guideline number 7 is multiple coding for a single condition. And in addition to the etiology manifestation convention that we went over that requires 2 codes to fully describe a single condition that affects multiple body systems, there are other single conditions that also require more than 1 code. It goes on to tell us that use additional code notes are found in the tabular at codes that are not part of an etiology manifestation pair where a secondary code is useful to fully describe a condition. And again, this was actually noted in our convention as well, that we could see these notes. And it's not necessarily a manifestation etiology combination, but the use additional code note is there to provide sequencing and for you to also look and see if there's another code that would be helpful to fully describe a condition. The sequencing rule is the same as the etiology manifestation. Use additional code note indicates that a secondary code should be added if known. For example, for a bacterial infections that are not included in Chapter 1, a secondary code from Chapter B95, Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, or Enterococcus as the cause of diseases classified elsewhere, or B96 for other bacterial agents as the cause of disease classified elsewhere. So in this example, we have toxic shock syndrome. This is in the tabular, we have a note here that reminds us, use an additional code to identify the organism. And in our case, that would be B95. So let's scroll down. So at the B95 in the tabular, we see these categories are provided for use as supplementary or additional codes to identify the infectious agent in diseases classified elsewhere. In this case, it's the toxic shock syndrome. We know the organism, it's B95, so we're going to scroll down and we know it's Streptococcus group A as the cause of diseases classified elsewhere. Now remember, when it's as the cause of diseases classified elsewhere in the description, this cannot be a primary code or principal diagnosis code. It would have to come after the A48.3, and the use an additional code note is also there to remind us that the B95 would be a secondary. In addition, again, this is just a reminder of the convention that we already went over. So we have use additional code notes. We have code first notes, which also provide sequencing. That's an absolute instruction for sequencing. And then we have code, if applicable, any causal condition first. So that's when we know a causal condition, and that's why they add the if applicable here. But again, these are all notes that will be in your tabular. And remember, notes can be found either at the category level, the subcategory level, or at the specific code level. Multiple codes may be needed for sequela, complication codes, obstetric codes to more fully describe the condition and see the specific guidelines for the conditions for further instruction. Now, when we get into chapter specific guidelines, we will go over that in more detail. But just know that there are times that you will need more than 1 code to describe a single condition. And in this case, for toxic shock syndrome, A48.3, that's specified to be due to Streptococcus group A, we need 2 codes. It's not a single code. And the classification reminds us of that and tells us how to sequence that. So moving on to acute and chronic conditions. And this says if the same condition is described as both acute and chronic, and separate subentries exist in the alphabetic index at the same indentation level, code both and the sequence the acute, subacute, aka subacute code first. So what this means at the same indentation level. So let's look at acidosis and we'll go down to lactic. And this is our first indentation here. And then underneath that, we have acute and chronic. And both of these are at the same indentation level, okay? Which means, and we have 2 different codes for that. In this case, acute lactic acidosis is going to be its own code, and chronic lactic acidosis, it's going to be its own code. We will likely not have a combination code for this because they are at the same indentation level, which means they are standalone codes. Okay, now we always check in the tabular to be sure. Again, I keep going back to that, but it's very important. And when we get to the tabular list, we actually do find an acute metabolic acidosis, or AKA acute lactic acidosis, and E8722 for the chronic metabolic acidosis, and then the inclusion term underneath, which is chronic lactic acidosis. We do not see in this set a combination code for both, so we need actually two codes to capture the acute and the chronic together. Now, conversely, different indentation levels indicate that we're going to have just one code for acute and chronic condition. So let's take cholecystitis, which is a very common acute on chronic condition. So in the subterms, we have acute, and then we have our with convention, meaning that if it doesn't matter if the provider links them or not, the with convention brings them together, and then we see the chronic cholecystitis. So this is telling us we are going at different indentation levels as we go down here, and the chronic is actually nestled up under the acute, then we're going to have just one code for this, and it's going to take us to category K.2. And when we get to K81.2, it's acute cholecystitis with chronic cholecystitis, and that one code fully captures our single condition of acute on chronic cholecystitis. So I really wanted to stress here the importance of the index. Again, I know I keep going back to that, but even these indentation levels are your guide to sometimes if you're going to have one or two codes. And in this case, it's clearly indicating to us that now again, is anything perfect? No. And I always go back to the 99.9% rule. But when you have two different sub entries, that's going to be an indication for you that we're going to end up with two codes. And this is what this guideline is actually telling us. Okay. So here we do not have two separate sub entries for acute and chronic. The chronic is nestled up under the acute. And I would venture to guess if we look in the index, if we go to cholecystitis chronic, acute is going to start to go underneath of that as well. And we're going to land at our combo code. I beat that horse to death. So we're going to move on.